I could talk about my appearance on Late Night with David Letterman.
I don't know about this.
Oh, all right.
Please tell this.
All right. So my first job in Daytona Beach was, cub reporter, just doing whatever they tell you to do. And I had to copy edit and lay out food sections, okay? Not my thing. I'm not a chef. I'm not a cook. Don't care about food. Part of my duties of reading all the stories and checking all the pages is to write headlines, copy edit and write headlines. And there was a column by Merle Ellis called The Butcher. So there was a column that I had to read every week about, chopping up animals and all that stuff. And I just kind of read them for errors, and not really trying to think much about it. Now, we had a food editor, Jane Clare, and she just really trusted my work and everything. So I was reading this column by Merle Ellis, and it was about pork tenderloin. Yeah, I know. So it was about pork tenderloin, and in it he's talking about what a luscious slice of meat it is, because then he was talking about because the pigs don't really use it very much, not even...
That muscle,
right. It's a muscle. And they don't use it much, even when they're wallowing around. They don't use it often. And I was trying to write a headline. It was the last thing I was doing in the night. And I wrote, pork tenderloin, a lazy muscle begging to be eaten. And I didn't think anything about it. I really didn't, because that really described the story. Jane came in, she approved all the pages, said you do a great job, blah, blah, blah. So it just went right past her, too. And so a couple of weeks later, David Letterman is doing his stupid headlines or crazy headlines or whatever it was. And I was about to fall asleep, and I always tried to watch that to see what other journalists did. Yeah. And he said, from the Daytona Beach News Journal. And I just sat straight up, and I thought, sports is going to get nailed for something here, And he holds it up, and I saw the page, and I saw the headline, ice in my veins, and he goes, pork tenderloin, a lazy muscle begging to be eaten. And the crowd was like, ha, 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 ha. And I was like, my life just flashing before my eyes. And he said something like the pork industry needs any help selling their products. And next day I go into the newsroom and I hear people laughing in the storage room. And one of the reporters had recorded it, and so he was taking people in there and playing it to them. They were like, oh, and they weren't saying anything to me. And I was like, oh, my God, we're toast. And now this was a family-owned newspaper. Right. The Davidson family. Tippin Davidson was the publisher, and his wife, Josephine Davidson, was the editor. And, they were very, very much into the food coverage and how well we did with that. They were all about fine arts. They really cared about the company and writing and all that stuff. And then Jane Clare comes up, rushing up to me. And she goes, Chuck, I think we might be in some trouble. She said, I think one of our headlines was on TV yesterday. I said, yeah, Jane, I heard. So we're like, well, maybe if we just lay low, it's not going to get around. And I didn't want to tell her. It's like I've been hearing it from the supply room all day. And but time went by. Josephine, Tippin, nobody said anything to me. No one said anything to Jane. We thought, okay, we got by with it. Well, the News Sentinel would also have a food fair every year. And so they would get together with the grocery stores and go to the Ocean Center and have like a convention on foods and new foods. And every year they'd have a special guest celebrity, who this year was Merle Ellis, the butcher. So... Great. And so Jane tells me, she goes, well, I'm going to dinner with Merle Ellis and Tippin and Josephine. She goes, wish me luck. And I thought, oh, my God, this is going to be so awful. And she came in the next day, and she said, good news. He saw it. He brought it up. But he said, that was so great. And he really appreciated all of the publicity, and he thought it was hilarious. And he said, and she said, and Tip and Joe were just sitting there like, what are you talking about? And Jane said, oh, didn't I mention it too? Yeah, we had a little fun with the headline. And Merle Ellis was like, yeah, it was great. It was hilarious. So they laughed too, and we didn't hear any more about it. But, Yeah, we were both. I was thinking, I am so expendable. I've just been here for months. I don't even know if I was past probation at that point.